Sonic's the name, speed's my game.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Panel, your show about comics and anything pertaining to. I am Spin Dash, and with me, as always, are my good friends, the Space Chief.
Hey, everybody.
We got Jules.
Hi.
Uni is with us tonight.
Hello.
And tonight, exclusively, Panel is now exclusively on Following the Nerd, followingthenerd.com. So we are proud to bring you a very special guest on the show tonight, a guest that I have wanted on the show since its beginning. I'm going to be geeking out this whole night, so please bear with me. But Tracy Yardley is here with us tonight. Tracy, thank you so much for coming on and being with us.
You're very welcome. Glad to be here.
Now, for those who have lived under a rock and don't know who Mr. Yardley is, he is, I'm not the only one who thinks this, the acclaimed artist for Sonic the Hedgehog. Well, this is Mega Man, actually. My bad. That's Mega Man. Sonic the Hedgehog. And yes, I'm going to put my number one. I'm going to pull my number one out there. I got them all here. What are you talking? Everybody knows I have them all. But Sonic the Hedgehog. This book has been one of my favorites since 1993. Love the comic book. One of the most longest running comics currently at over 250 issues for the main series, which is Sonic the Hedgehog. And then, of course, it has its companion book, Sonic Universe, which you have also worked on, correct, sir? Have you worked on Sonic Universe?
Yes.
And
Yeah, that's mostly what I do.
over on Sonic Universe now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And you also
worked on... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say you also worked on Sonic X, the tie-in to the show
Yes.
Sonic X.
Yes.
And your
pretty much every Sonic book that...
now your first issue was what, number 160? Number 160 was your first issue with Sonic?
Yeah, that was the first one that came out on the regular Sonic book, although I actually drew Sonic X issues 5 and 6 before that. But, yeah, I can't remember which one came out in print first. So... yeah, I don't know. It's been a few years, so it's hard to remember. But yeah, 160 was the first issue on the regular Sonic book.
Now you were telling us before the show you've been collecting the books as well since it started, and you're a huge fan.
Well, yeah, I started with the old the miniseries that Scott Shaw drew, and as time went by, I kind of fell off, but once I got the job, I went back and got a whole bunch of the back issues and read them. So,
because I think you said you had this one right here, Sonic number 0. I think you said you had that one.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I can't see you. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure how to work this.
It's on there. That's okay.
Probably, yeah.
Just act like you can see everything. Now,
I actually was it Scott Shaw that made you put the exclamation point at the end of your name? Is that what I meant today? That he would put an exclamation point after his name, and so when you began drawing the book, you put the exclamation point after your name as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, even back in '93, whenever I was reading the books, I enjoyed his cartooning so much that I started putting that on my name in middle school on all of my papers, and all the way through high school. Yeah, all the way through high school and college, everything I did, I'd always put the exclamation point after my name.
That's very cool that you would end up taking over Sonic and.
Because
Yeah, because it's not really something that I ever thought would happen. I mean, I went to school to do comics, and I was really more interested in newspaper type strips for the most part. But that's such a very, very difficult thing to get into. Well, as hard or harder than comic books. So, I began to focus more on comic books after I got out of school. As you may have heard the story or read it. I've posted it a few places that, I with some friends of mine, I would work at a gas station during the day and draw comic books at night. And we would take our comic book called Nate and Steve that we came up with.
Yeah, I did. I read about that, actually.
Yeah, we'd go to conventions and sell it there, and we had the website. And one day it was at MegaCon. I can't remember the year. I think it was 2004, probably. A guy that I was just acquainted with from SCAD happened to be walking by the table where I was sitting. I was doing some doodles of Sonic in my sketchbook, and he looks over and sees it, and he's like, "Hey, that's really good. I know the editor, the Sonic the Hedgehog, and he's looking for new people because Sonic X was about to start at that time." So, he gave me his email and phone number, and I called him or wrote him. He sent me some sample stuff, which was Ian Flynn's sample scripts, and I worked on those. He liked it, and that's how I got started. So.
Wow, that's a cool story. That's that's destiny.
It is indeed, definitely.
And since then,
one thing I was interested in, was this the same high school friends that you drew the death chicken? I was looking at your DeviantArt page and I saw the death chicken today, and I thought
that was from high school. That was from high school. The guys that I did comics with, that was from college. But yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, got that mixed up.
I should do something with the death chicken again someday.
Oh, it's a great drawing. I loved it. I just laughed. Like, that's great.
Yeah, a buddy of mine from high school came up with that. It was kind of funny.
It's pretty funny.
Going through my box here of comics and looking at them all. Because I want this computer to be a magic portal, so I can just throw them all to you, and you can just sign them and send them back to me. Because that would be the mecca for me. I would absolutely love that. Because I know with Sonic, and I say this all the time to people, because you see everybody talks about books like Batman, Superman, the Avengers, but for me, Sonic has always been the one great book, because a lot of people may think it's a kid's book, but I always see it, there's romance in the book, there's heartbreak in the book. It's not just Sonic versus Eggman or Robotnik. I mean, there's so many different characters, so many villains, that are in this book, that it's an ongoing saga that you got to read to believe, and especially now with the Worlds Collide series, and you've been working on that. If I remember correctly, you've been working a little bit on the Worlds Collide series with Mega Man, which ends next week. By the way, people, Worlds Collide ends next week with Sonic the Hedgehog. Make sure you go pick it up. Your run on this book, on these Sonic books, is just it's astounding how long you've been working on them.
I started in September of 2005, so in another month and a half it'll be 8 years.
Wow.
It'll be good.
Was it like 199? I think I read 199 issues so far, or something, or is it more than that now?
I haven't counted up the issues, but back when I was doing, I think it was issue 42 or 43 of Sonic Universe, I kind of did a rough count, and it was by then already over 2,000 pages of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's one thing I noticed about your art. What I like about it is there's a lot of movement going on in Sonic. It's really bright, and there's a lot of stuff going on in every panel and every page, which I never really read it. So when I met Spin, he started to get me into it more, and I need to go back and read a lot of it, because I never really knew about it. I wasn't aware of it, and he's kind of turning me on to it. But I was checking out some artwork and thought, it's very cool because there's just so much going on in every panel, and that's what I really appreciate about the art that I've seen.
I have told them about.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to draw.
I have told them about this since we've met, and I've actually reviewed quite a few Sonic the Hedgehog books in my day about how it is vibrant, it is beautiful. Because if you look, and this is a little bit of history lesson, from what I heard, Archie always loved bringing in new artists with Sonic. Because they loved seeing the new artist's interpretation of the characters. Because, like, if you look back in older issues, Sally looks a little different. She has longer hair, and her body's maybe a little more slender and elongated, and Sonic's appendages may be longer. So Archie, from what I heard, always loved bringing in new artists to put their own spin, no pun intended, on Sonic.
I don't know. I'm not sure if that was something they did because of that or what. But there's definitely been a lot of great artists in the past. So I hope that I live up to the legacy that has come before.
You have. I don't even have to.
I was blown away by how many. I was blown away by how many different characters there are involved. Like I said, I'm not really well versed in it. Spin's kind of teaching me about it as we go along, but I can't believe how many different characters and how involved and how complex that universe is. I've never really had 250 issues is an incredible run for a comic these days. Really, I mean, you see DC books get canceled after 8 issues or whatever. 250 issues, going strong. That's pretty amazing.
It's been going on a long time. You're right. As a matter of fact, because I remember when I was in college, I went to a comic shop one time, and I think maybe issue 75 or around 75 at the time, and I thought to myself, because I hadn't been collecting it, I hadn't seen it for a long time, and I thought to myself, wow, is it still going? So that was quite a while ago. So yeah, it's not like
250.
There it is.
well, like you said earlier. It appeals to a broad audience because it has, regardless of the fact that it's starring, cartoon furry animals, if it were starring humans or whatever, but there's a lot of different genres mixed up in here. You get science fiction, fantasy, action adventure, romance, and all that stuff, So it appeals to a lot of different people on a lot of different levels.
Were there any characters?
Everybody likes Sonic.
People should be aware of that.
Yeah. Were there any characters that you kind of helped create as far as the looks wise? I know Sonic was established, Sally was established. Were there any of the newer characters that they said, hey, we have this character, draw it? Tell us what your interpretation of it would be.
Not really so much like from scratch. I kind of, there was the Dr. Finitivus who had shown up a couple times before I started, and I kind of tweaked his design a little bit, and although I always try to stay true to what has come before, so I don't want to mess with people's stuff too much. Whenever we got to redesign Interjack, actually I got to redesign him twice, which is cool. So I thought the one from the second time from Sonic Universe was a lot cooler. There was the what's his name? Thrash, Tasmanian Devil. Yeah, a lot of the characters, Ian Flynn, when he comes up with them, he'll have like a real sketchy idea of what he wants, and he'll email that to me, and I build on it, So there's very few characters that I've ever designed from scratch, from the ground up.
Okay.
Do you have like a favorite out of all of them that you've drawn?
Like a favorite issue or favorite character?
Favorite issue, favorite character?
Well, I have said, and I even chose it for the best of Sonic hardcover. My favorite story was really, really early on was the 2-part Order from Chaos story, where the Adam Anonymous storyline is summed up, and Tommy the Turtle finally he meets his ultimate death.
Yeah.
That was,
you had to bring.
there's a lot of
Turtle.
Well, I don't have,
That's
The pain.
I don't have anything against him, or I don't. But that was a fun story because, again, that was another that had a character in there, the villain. I got, Ian had a basic idea, but I got to kind of design what he looked like in the end, and I thought it was a pretty interesting design. And we had the story that Ian told where we finally got rid of all of the multitude of green Chaos Emeralds and whittled it down to the 7 colored emeralds from the games. Shadow was in there. It was just, the Supersonic was in there. Just a really fun story. So that was one of my favorites.
I was going to ask you about riding shotgun. I was looking this up. This looks like something that's definitely up my alley. This the manga. What is that about? Can you give us a? And are you still going to keep going with that? Is there going to be future ones?
I'll get to that. Let me. I'll explain. There's also in 2005. It's funny how things happen. Like all at the same time, I started working on Sonic, and at the same time, I started doing that book too for Tokyo Pop. A friend of mine, again, showing that it's not what you know, it's who you know. A friend of mine named Ross Campbell from SCAD, phenomenal, amazing artist. You should look him up. His website is greenoblivion.com. He does a lot of books for Oni Press. And he does illustrations for White Wolf Publishing and their Exalted and role-playing games, various other stuff. He's really, 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 really good. He got a job with Tokyo Pop, doing a book called The Abandoned, which was a zombie thing, which is really awesome. One of the only book they've ever published that had color in it too. So he told his editor to take a look at what we were doing with Nate and Steve, and she liked it, and she offered us the chance to, do a pitch for, original English language graphic novel manga, So, we came up with a few ideas. None of them stuck, and finally we came up with Riding Shotgun, which the basic premise is that it's just like the real world, except that assassination is a legal profession. So, you go out and get your assassin's license, and you take jobs off of the internet or at the local, union headquarters or whatever, and you go out and kill people. So
that's a little reminiscent of like Grosse Point Blank, the movie with John Cusack, where there's the group of assassins with like Dan Aykroyd's an assassin that comes after him. I don't know if you've seen it. It's kind of an old movie.
Yeah, I have. I hadn't really thought about that, but you're right. So most of the story was I helped flesh out some of the concepts and characters, but that was mostly written by Nate Bowden, who's done some other work in the industry. I think he wrote a really cool graphic novel called Holiday, which I forget who published that. It might have been Oni also. I'm not sure. But it's a modern retelling of Doc Holliday from the Old West. But yeah, he came up with the idea of the assassins, and we followed the story of Doyle and Abby, who are two up-and-coming assassins trying to make their way and make their name. Things kind of go from bad to worse for them, but it wouldn't be a story if it didn't. So anyway, yeah, that's, I was working on that at the same time that I started doing Sonic, so it's amazing that I could get all that done. Of course, I didn't have the kids and a wife back then, so I had more free time. But we did the first issue, or the first, volume, and then the second one is 2006 and 2008, I believe. And then Tokyo Pop kind of folded, so there'll probably never be a third issue. Yeah.
It looked definitely like it was up my alley. And then how are the artwork style? Like, how would you? The artwork styles seem to be completely different from doing like something like Sonic.
Yeah.
And it would be like something like you originally come up with.
Yeah, I did vaguely manga, ish. No, not entirely. I didn't want to try to, completely emulate manga style, because it's not entirely my style, although I do have some of that influence in there. I used to watch a lot of anime and stuff, and I like that visual style. It's just not, not entirely natural to me. But, What was I saying? Yeah, I really enjoy drawing cars and, buildings and cityscapes and stuff. So there's a lot of that stuff in there. There's a few really, I thought, fun car chase scenes, which when Nate wrote the script, he just kind of left a few pages blank. This is car chase. So I got to design those sequences. That was fun.
Nice.
And,
Nice. Very cool. I would definitely check that out. That's definitely up my alley.
Yeah,
that style of.
It's definitely, I think it says on the cover 16 and plus. There's a lot of, coarse language and blood and guts. So it's not for kids. It's something, outside what I would recommend to most Sonic fans. Younger Sonic fans at any rate.
Right. Well, I'm more into, I've always had a dark comic taste. I think Spin's bringing me more towards the stuff like Sonic, Adventure Time, stuff like that, stuff in the Archie comics.
I love the dark
things
stuff
like that.
too. It's just Sonic is so ingrained. He's ingrained in me because I grew up watching.
Well, you and Jules, I never read anything like that until I met you and Jules, and they're kind of moving me into those kinds of books.
Well, you gotta think.
Slowly but surely.
You gotta think of a young Spin in 1993. Watching 2 Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons on TV. The weekdays, I had Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. The weekends, I had Sonic Sat AM. And that's the cartoon that introduced Sally and Antoine and Rotor and Bunny. And then they're like, hey, here's a Sonic the Hedgehog comic. And I'm like, I'm there. And been following it ever since. And I'm hoping Archie, I'm hoping we get Antoine back soon in the book, because I was very, what happened with Antoine in the books, and right now we got Mecha Sally, and I'm hoping we get some resolution with Sally with that line, maybe at the end of Worlds Collide. I don't know. I'm hoping we get some resolution. But I want to say the things that, and I've been showing them these every week that they come out with the Sonic, is this Worlds Collide series has just been fantastic with the way that Eggman and Wily have been playing off each other and everything like that. So take it back to the whole Sonic team. That fantastic job on the Worlds Collide saga. Everyone who's been involved, tell them from us, fantastic work. It's been my favorite book every week it's out.
Cool, I'll do that. Yeah, it's nice that the way they set it up, that it comes out so quickly. Mm-hmm. Across the 3 titles.
Spin's on top of it. He has everyone. He reviews every single. He loves these books to death. The biggest Sonic fan I've ever met in my life.
And every week they come out, I get the variants. So my guy knows with Sonic, he not only has to order my comic book store, he not only has to order me the main book, he has to order me the variant covers. So I've been getting the Evil Friends Forever variant covers, and I just,
Evil Bro Fist.
The Evil Bro Fist, yeah, we love the Evil Bro Fist. And I do want to say one of my, go ahead, Jules, go ahead.
I was going to say, we've been buying them from my daughter. She's 8 now, for years. And just ever since I met Spin, she would read them, and I would kind of read them a little bit with her. But ever since I met Spin, I was like, I got to read these. So I started reading them, and I was like, these are the best comics ever. It's just, they're so funny, and they're amazing. And so I'm really glad that so now I got to keep up. I'm like, okay, wait, which one do I need this one next? Wait, I didn't get that one. So then go back and get it, But I've just had a lot of fun reading them. I've really, and then even my daughter, my 2-year-old loves Sonic. He's a huge Sonic fan. So when he gets a little bit older, I'll read them to him, kind of want him to get them all banged up, but, but yeah, so she has all of them. It's just that, I just really started reading them in the past, since I met Spin. I was like, man, these are the best comics ever. So I really, really enjoy it.
I'm glad. It's always nice to hear that people like what I'm doing. So.
Yeah, well, Jules didn't have a 20-year search for a number one. I missed number one when it came out. No. I did not get number one, and I was on a 20-year search for a number one. And then what was it, Chief? February or March? I think it was March of this year. I was on vacation down in Florida. It was March. I was on a vacation in Florida, and there was a little collectible shop, and this was a shop that you'd want to live in, because not only was it comics, they had like statues and Encyclopedia Britannicas all over the wall and records. And I was flipping through comic boxes, and I saw Sonic, and I was like, oh, cool, let me see what I don't have. And then there was number 1. And my heart skipped a beat. I blacked out for about 10 minutes, and when I came to, the guy wanted $15 for it, and as much as I love Sonic, I still had to go through page by page and see if there was any imperfections in this book. And I ended up getting it for 20% off 20% off the cover of $15. But it's mine. It's mine. So now I'm trying to.
I remember that day. Twitter exploded with Spin's incredible find.
Yeah.
But I want to say...
Yeah, there's a few key issues I don't have. Like, I don't have issue 100.
I'm missing that one.
I have the director's cut of 50, but I don't have the original 50.
Do I have that?
Are we saying I should go through my big box of unknowns and see if I can find all your missing comics?
There it is.
Yes, I'm showing them my Sonic number 50 right now.
Random stuff that I've gotten from places that I don't really read, but I have like certain issues of. Like, I don't like have a lot of issues, but I've got a box like that that's just random things that I've picked up over the years.
I had a box that was as tall as I am, which is 5'3", full of comics, and then my basement flooded.
Oh.
So that box went to about this much.
That's awful. It's a comic horror story.
So now we have
that's
another.
What happens when you collect them and don't actually take care of them like you should.
And now you know, right?
Lesson learned.
Now you know.
Now I know.
You learned.
Good.
I learned the hard way, but I know.
Yeah. Aw.
Now, one of my favorite story arcs, I want to say, because a lot of people I know, they say, oh, I don't want to read Sonic battling Eggman every single week. One of my favorite story arcs was the Iron Dominion, the Iron Empire story arc that ran in the earlies of the early 200s, where Eggman kind of goes insane. Eggman literally goes nuts because he's finally cracked because Sonic's beaten him so many times. And everybody thinks finally we can have some peace, but then here comes the Iron Queen, and you were very involved in that whole story arc, bringing them in. And I know they'd been in comics before, but this one really showed that wherever something in the Sonic world, there's always going to be something he's got to battle.
Yeah, that was fun. You're right. It was a nice change of pace. You know, there's only so many times you can have the same villain and protagonist fight, you know, without it getting a little stale. So, yeah, it was definitely different. It was a lot of fun.
And
Spider-Man
I didn't do too many issues out of that. I think Stephen Butler did more issues on that by far than I did, but I did a few though.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get some resolution with Ixix Nagus coming up soon, because it's like Ixix Nagus is doing his thing, and we had the secret Freedom Fighters in Sonic Universe. We got the secret Freedom Fighters, and then all of a sudden we get thrown into Worlds Collide, and there's really no there's no resolution what's going on with Ixix Nagus and Jeffrey St. John, because we have the Worlds Collide going on. So I'm hoping we'll get some resolution to that story soon in the main titles. And
yeah, I know that there's some. If you've seen the solicitations, you know, there's some new things that are going to be happening. I can't really tell you much about it because I don't know much about it, and I've been busy working on the Sonic Universe. I'm working on the pirate story. So
I just wanted to bring that up because somebody was talking about Pirate Day on Twitter, and they were like, "There's no pirates in comics. Why are there no pirates in comics?" And so I had to put up
plenty of pirates.
I had to put up a tweet of the next issue of Sonic Universe and said, "Excuse me, but in the next Sonic Universe, Sonic is hitting the high seas." So I'm really excited because
Nice.
Maureen the raccoon is going to be in it, and we haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah, she's like I said. I came up with a story quite some time ago. There wasn't really any time to fit it in for a while. just the basic gist of it is, well, I don't want to give too much away, but it's a pirate story in Blaze's dimension. Blaze and Marine are the main characters, but also Amy and Cream, as well as Bean and Bark, show up. So it's kind of a sort of a sequel to the Treasure Team Tango story that Ian wrote back a while back in Sonic Universe. So, there's a new pirate villain, and Sonic really doesn't have a role in the story, even though he is on that cover. But
Well, that was a pretty cool cover because it was kind of like the Jack Sparrow. Sonic kind of mimicking Jack Sparrow a bit from the Pirates movies.
Well, what I noticed was, what I was going to ask is there a good point that you would recommend somebody to jump into Sonic to start reading it regularly, or is this some kind of, do you really kind of have to go back to the beginning and know the story all the way to now, or are you going to miss it?
Well, I'll tell you, like I said, I know that, I don't know all of the details, but I do know that I can say that things are going to change pretty drastically after the Worlds Collide story. So that would be the best place to start reading.
Okay, that's what I'm going to add that to I'll add it for Spin. He's been telling me forever that I have to start regularly reading Sonic. So tonight will be the night tomorrow I will call, have that added to my sub list.
Yeah, I think it starts at 253, I think.
Yes.
252, I'm not sure. So.
Yeah, I noticed it's like part one on the cover or something, so I was wondering if that would be a good jumping on point.
I want to say what we just had.
The arc.
We just had 250, and now we're at 251. Yeah.
Sorry.
It might be 252. Yeah. So that story arc is called Countdown to Chaos. That's that's the new story arc.
Nice.
I just want people to know that don't read it that there are points in the Sonic story you can jump in and you don't have to go back and buy every issue from like Spin is obsessed. He's got a 20-year search for number one. You don't have to do that. You can just jump right into Sonic and start reading it and enjoying it.
You can go back and they do have trade paperbacks. They do have the trades of the Sonic stories. Next week we're getting the Sonic, the Best of the Villains. I believe the hardcover Best of the Villains is coming out, which I've already got on hold. But there we go, Archie. I just got you another buyer, Archie. Because I'm sorry.
I will call tomorrow.
I'm sorry. I think people just count Archie out. They count Archie out. Oh, there's DC, there's Marvel. Don't count out Archie. Archie's got some fantastic books, and people I don't know. They got Kevin Keller.
I think there's a lot of comic shops that have like a kids section, and they tend to put those books like Boom and some of those titles like have a kids section. I think a lot of like adult comic readers just pass right by. I mean, I know I did for years, but I met Spin and Jules, and they were like, "No, you really got to go check these books out." So I went and I started picking these books up, but now it's like there are so many good titles that just get walked right past by people, I think, because they think they're kids' titles and they're looking for something like, Punisher kills everything.
Yeah. Yeah, comic shops are weird, Yeah, it's tough to know what's good and what's not if you're just looking at the covers. I mean, that's why they make a pretty big deal about trying to get a really iconic, definitive image for every cover or something that's really going to grab people's attention, so they try to get them to pick up the book and read it. It's kind of hard to do every time, but that's what we shoot for. But you're right. When you're in a shop like that and you see 30, 40 titles all kind of jumbled together, it's hard to know what to pick up, and you're definitely right about, adults, that's just the kid section, So, which is unfortunate.
Well, I've seen it happen. I mean, people come in, they walk right by it, they go to Adventures of Superman on down, and they walk, and for some reason my shop has your Adventure Time books, your Sonic books. Those kind of books have like their own section at the end of the aisle, and I see people just go right by it, and I think, wow, you guys there's a lot of good books in there. You guys have just been not giving anything a chance, reading the same old stuff they've been reading for 30 years. I was like, no, you should really check these out.
That's what kind of sucks now is back when I was looking into getting into comics, I bought them at grocery stores because they would sell them in the book area, and you could see all the covers and choose from there. And I mean, they had your big titles, but I bought Sonic, I bought Archie, I bought Betty and Veronica, I bought Barbie. And the thing was, the reason why I got those is they actually appealed to me more with their covers and with what was going on in them than the Marvel stuff at the time. I mean, I like Marvel, I like DC, but I still have like hundreds of actual Archie comics. And my parents loved the fact I was reading them, and my mom even read like the Sonic books and the Betty and Veronica, and my mom's like, an interesting generation to be reading these. I kind of wish that they'd go back to doing that though, because then you'd see everything as it is. You could pick them up and actually read them without worrying about your poor little fingerprints touching stuff. So it kills me that they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's too bad because that's where I bought Sonic comics when I was a kid too, in the grocery store and in the drugstore.
Yeah, the drugstore, those spinning racks. You don't see the racks anymore.
No, yeah. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with necessarily having a kids section in a comic shop. It's a good way for children to direct them to books that are appropriate for them. But maybe they could have another section where they highlight the best of and put it out with everything else where everyone can see it. Maybe be more apt to pick it up.
You don't want something like you don't want Archie next to Wolverine Max. I mean, that's a really hardcore book. But
what do I get, Mommy? Do I want Archie or Deadpool kills everything? Which one do I want?
Deadpool kills Deadpool.
Why not both?
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, why not both? Oh. Exactly, why not both?
Yeah.
Oh.
But that surprises me.
Good point, Uni.
Well, like at our comic book store, it's near me. They actually mix the Archie books and everything. So it surprised me when we first went in there. The only thing that still perturbs me is I think I'm the only female that has ever walked into there. But they've got everything lined up. You can see all the different titles, all the different covers for that week, and then they'll go into the stacks later on. But there's no kids section. There's no, this is for, the raving mad Marvel comics fans. They mix the Buffy, they mix everything, and I'm sitting there going, that's awesome to me, because you see everything. You can see what there is and actually get a grasp of it instead of just judging it by a title or judging it by the maker.
I have another question. I would ask, what were your favorites? You said you wanted to draw comic strips. Like growing up, what were your favorite comic strips and comic strip artists? Like the newspaper style strips.
I'll give you one guess who my favorite was. Just about everybody's favorite.
Charles Schultz.
Peanuts?
No.
Yeah.
Bill Watterson.
Calvin Hobbs.
Bill Watterson.
It's going to be Calvin Hobbs.
As soon as
I was thinking either that or Berkeley Breathe. I was going to say one or the other, Bloom County or Calvin and Hobbs.
As soon as I discovered Calvin Hobbs, I bought every one of his compilation books that he came out with. It was just a fantastic. I like Foxtrot a lot. That was a good one. And I enjoyed Garfield from the early years, but it's just kind of repetitive after a while.
Very true.
Yeah, I just liked all the comics in general. I mean, it's a difficult sort of thing, as I said before, to do, just from, the actual work standpoint. You got to come up with a gag every day. They're not going to be
Right.
funny every day. You know,
Yeah.
they're just not. So, and I just don't have enough of a sense of humor to try to come up with something every day like that. And the way the syndicated...
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Continue, I'm sorry.
I was
You
just
can go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, the way the syndicated newspaper strip business works is what, you know, just like anything else, you got literally probably thousands and thousands of people that want to do it. And you submit your artwork. What they ask you to do is to submit like a month's worth of comic strips to prove that you can at least pump something out, you know. And, you know, they said they get thousands of submissions every year. There's very limited space in newspapers. So that, you know, there's like 3 major syndicates. There might be a few smaller ones. But, you know, they might bring out 1 or 2 new strips every year. So it's like, you know, hard. It's just as hard to be a rock star or an actor to get a job doing comics. So,
Well, we're roughly the same age. So, I mean, there was that time back when we were kids when the comic strips were really big. You had Bloom County, you had Calvin and Hobbes, you had Gary Larson's Far Side.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like the Sunday paper and like the strips of the week were a really big deal.
there was,
Gary
and,
Larson's
you know,
Far
you still that was fantastic. You still get the color Sunday strips. That's about the only thing you get out of it now. The weekday strips, when you can even find them, are so small you can barely read them.
Right.
You know, it's.
And
I don't want to say that.
blah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's a lot of dinosaurs out there like Beetle Bailey and Peanuts that are never going to go away, and there's never going to be room for new stuff to come out. Yeah, you know. I don't mean to sound, you know, insulting or whatever, but most of the people that like those strips, you know, are getting very old or probably don't care anymore or whatever, you know. I think it'd be wise of publishers to try some new stuff, you know. Maybe even new
I always wondered
formats.
why do they not take any chances on new hipper strips that are going to get younger readers to get involved? They're missing a golden opportunity to update their comics. I don't know. Maybe they just don't want to. They don't feel they need the comics anymore. I don't know.
Part of it is
They probably don't.
are going out.
That's a good point.
Oh yeah, true.
Part of
Yeah, the print
like
industry.
here in Colorado, we used to have 2 major newspapers and other little small ones with comics, everything, and they even ran guest artists in there from here in state, which was really cool because it gave everybody a little bit of a chance, especially the new artists, to kind of show themselves. And as time went on, because everything's on the internet now or on a stupid phone, they just shut down one of the big newspapers. Rocky Mountain News was shut down. We still have the Denver Post, but it's dying horribly. And it's kind of sad to see all of that go. It's basically the printed word or even, you know, the illustrations. They're all gone now. No one cares. And it's sad to see that.
Still actually doing Rex Morgan MD? Are those new strips? Or are those still like reprinted from way back?
Is Stanley still doing the Spider-Man strip? Is Stanley still doing the weekly Spider-Man strip?
Oh, you know what? Absolutely. And his brother, Larry Lieber, I think it is. They put it in the comic shop news now. These are supposedly new strips, I think. Oh, I don't know if these are reprints or what, but they have the Spider-Man strip as in the comic shop weekly newsletter. It says it's by Stan Lee, Larry Lieber, and Alex Saviuk.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't really read the newspaper too often. When I do, I always look at the comics, of course. There's a few newer type strips that, you know, try to have some, I guess, more modern type jokes, but not very many.
Like Boondocks is out. That's a pretty good one. That's like, that's a more updated
Yeah, but even that's been around for a good 10 years or more now.
Yeah.
That's been around for a while.
Yeah, that's true.
Now,
They've been around a while.
Now, what?
Well, they got the animated series too, so yeah, they've been around.
Now we've got some. Go ahead, Uni.
The animated series is not nearly as tame as the comic strips.
Oh, no. It's not.
That's true.
Now we've got some good friends that are independent comic book artists. They're putting out their own books at the cons. You know, they're bringing, like you did, they're bringing their books to the cons to sell. What would you advise these guys who have these, and most of these books are really, really good. It's different stuff than we're seeing in the mainstream. What advice would you give to these guys with their own books of trying to get it out there to a publisher like Archie, to see, hey, is there anything here you like? What would you suggest they do?
I don't know. Definitely build a website and have that internet presence there. I would assume they probably do, but like I said, with Tokyo Pop, whenever that opportunity came by, I think it made it a lot easier at any rate because we had that website ready for the editor to look at. You know, when you send in, if you send in a physical submission, it's going to be piled up in a stack of mail along with everything else. Who knows when somebody's going to be able to get to it and look at it. You know, the internet is just a lot faster and easier to get on and search through nowadays.
Maybe have like a PDF.
Plus, I can say, yeah, I mean, the Nate and Steve website that we built was pretty, amateurish and not really all that slick. But, we built it ourselves and didn't pay anybody to do it. So they got the job done, though, you know. We even sold a few books on there, you know, linked it up to PayPal and stuff. So, it's tough to say. I mean, aside from going to conventions and actually having that physical presence there to, pitch your wares at people and say, hey, read this book, you know. You never know, you never know who might pick it up and maybe give it a good review, and maybe somebody else will pick it up. Obviously, you're going to be there. You can hand it to the editors and industry professionals who also might be at the show. As far as like getting people interested in it, that's pretty tough. Archie, I don't think, as far as I know, never do submissions for like new properties. They have plenty in their backlog from over 70 or 80 years they've been in business. Mm-hmm. You know, they can rework and restyle and change and update stuff, like the New Crusaders and things like that, I think Sabrina is going to have a new cartoon show coming out soon, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did a comic book companion to that or something. I have no idea, but as far as other publishers too, again, that's kind of, as far as I know, just kind of luck of the draw. You got to be in the right place at the right time. Mm-hmm. If you have a story idea that's a fantastic story and has some like amazing art, if it's really good and really good quality and deserving of people's attention, someone's going to see it. Someone's going to take notice eventually. But it's a really tough industry to get into, just as hard as the newspaper strips. I have no doubt that I'm exactly where God wanted me to be. There's things lined up too perfectly otherwise.
So that's what I was going to say. Would you say the industry is different now with like your Kickstarters and your internet and like websites? Is it just getting easier or harder to get into? Is it just making it more difficult?
I would say probably easier.
Stuff.
Well, in general, I would say probably easier because of the internet. Anybody can build their own website and, or just use, Facebook or whatever and have a solid internet presence, where they can showcase their artwork, and you can use Twitter and all those other things to try to get people involved in it, which even, 7, 8 years ago when I started, that kind of stuff really wasn't so mainstream, wasn't so accessible to everybody. And definitely the Kickstarter thing. Again, I haven't kept up with him in recent years, but Ross Campbell, last time I looked at his website, I think he was doing a Kickstarter to do another book that he was interested in doing. So, he's got a huge fan following. So that's, once you get it going, I think, it gets easier to continue. I have obviously enough of a fan following. If I ever got off my butt and tried to do my own work, I'm sure that I could probably, round up the Kickstarter money, or at least have a lot of people who'd be interested in it,
Just call me, I'll give you whatever you want.
Yeah,
I'll give you whatever you want.
But, getting your foot in the door is difficult. That's the hardest part. And like I said before, as with any job, anywhere, knowing, it's as much who you know as what you know. I mean, you can be a fantastic artist or a great writer or whatever, but, knowing, being ready when an opportunity knocks is half the battle. So, because I used to just stay up at night and draw comic books. Nobody was paying me to do it. But, that's what I wanted to do, so I would do that, and we would go to the conventions with our own money, and, it might have been that nobody would ever have taken notice or whatever, but I still put in that work, and because I put in the work and had those books ready to say, look here, I did it, this is what I can do.
Right.
When the opportunity came up, I had that ready to show them, so.
So you'd say it was like 90% love of doing it, maybe 10% just getting a chance, or just a random luck of the draw kind of thing. Or even less of a random, just it's mostly what the love and practice you put into it.
Yeah,
that's going to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, because there's tons of great artists out there, tons of people who draw circles around, no doubt about it. It's in terms of pure talent, but you got to have that drive too. It's one thing to draw an amazing pinup drawing once, every 6 months or something. But if you want to do this for a living, you got to live it and breathe it. It's because It's really hard. And it's gotten, the older I get, the harder it gets too. Because when I started this, 7, 8 years ago, I was, 25 or whatever, 26, 27, something like that. I just turned 34. So I'm getting older, and it's hard to work. A lot of times I work at night. I got kids, and, my wife works. So, spend half of my day maybe doing housework or paying bills or running errands or taking kids to doctors or whatever. But there's other days where I'll sit down all day and I'll draw all day. But, to make up for that, I still need to work at night a lot of times, and that's really difficult. The older I get, it's hard to stay awake and get it done. And it's not as much fun as it used to be either. It was all fresh and new and exciting, when I first started it, and now it's kind of old hat. So, I still enjoy it. I really wouldn't want, there's not much else I'd rather do for a living, or wouldn't be qualified to do. But,
Would you ever consider developing an original character?
Yeah, I have some ideas for stories, but the amount of time that it would take to actually produce that work is time that I need to work on Sonic.
Do everything else.
Make money to pay bills. Yeah. Because if I don't work to make money, I'm screwed.
Well, I can see it's getting late. This has been my favorite show we've filmed so far because you were on it. This is fulfilling a dream of mine. Now I got to work on Spaz.
You've made Spin's dream come true, sir.
Yeah, well, now I got to work on Spaz. Now I got to move on to Spaz. I got to get Spaz on here now. Now I got to get him on here.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad I could. You know what? He's one of the very few guys that I've never spoken to personally on the Sonic team, if you want to call it that. I've never actually talked to him. I don't think he does a lot of conventions except for San Diego or anything. So.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to set this up with me and talk with me through our messages to get this set up. I was very excited when you got back and said you would do it.
Well, I'm happy to be on. It's a lot of fun, I like to do these kind of things, and when I can fit it in. Sorry, I was a little late,
That's perfectly fine.
No, we're honored to have you here.
Okay. Hey, before I go out, I guess I can show you some little exclusive sketches from my pirate story. If you could see them here.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh,
that's the pirate villain who's going to be in the story. His name is Captain Metal.
That is
Nice.
so cool.
Sweet.
Oh my gosh.
Very cool.
And here, whoops, let me back out of that. Darn technology.
I hear you.
Ooh, here we go. And here are two of his henchmen here. This is Buckle
Buckle. Aww.
Nice.
and Swash.
Oh, look,
Buckle and
I like that
Swash.
one.
I love that.
Very cool, yeah.
That one too.
So that's what you
Thank
can
you
look
for
forward to.
sharing that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's coming up.
Thank you, that's
some of the
awesome.
characters. The pirates. So.
I'm so excited.
So everybody watching.
Yeah.
Everybody watching next week, make sure you pick up Sonic number 251, which is the end of the Worlds Collide saga. Fantastic cover. Make sure you pick up fantastic cover. Not only do you get Super Sonic on the cover, you're getting looks like Super Mega Man. So fantastic. And then Pirate. Hold on, I had it all in my. I had it all. Pirate Pirate Plunder Panic. Am I right?
Nice.
Did I get
Yes. Pirate Plunder Panic.
Pirate Plunder Panic
Yeah, the
is the
pseudo
next.
sequel to Treasure Team Tango.
That's the next one of Sonic Universe. So pick that up because you have to pick up Sonic Universe. It is such a fantastic book, and it is the longest running companion to Sonic. Because in the past, Knuckles had a book, and there was other books, but Sonic Universe hit past the 50 issue mark, and it's going strong. So,
And I will get signed up for the pirate story coming out.
you should just go ahead.
Cool.
You should just go ahead because it's only 12 books and just pick up the whole Worlds Collide saga. Just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
You know you want
it's really
to.
good.
Just do it.
Do it.
I'm looking forward
I
to
will do it now.
Because I don't even know how that story ends. The Worlds Collide. I don't know how it ends either. I drew the middle 4 issues of that, and so the last 4 I have no idea what happens. So I'm in the dark with everybody else.
Well, we're gonna find out on
All right.
Wednesday, and I will. We're gonna find out on Wednesday, and I will have a review of it up that following day on Following the Nerd, because apparently they've said I am their Sonic guy. I am the Sonic guy for Following the Nerd.
Well, if anybody is, man, who else would be? You are the biggest Sonic fan ever.
Oh, yeah, and I will. Anybody who wants to fight me for that crown, bring it on. Bring it on. So, Tracy, Yardley,
What a good step.
thank you so much for being here on Panel to Panel. I hope this won't be the last time we see you here on the show, but we can have you on in the future sometime.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Make
It was
sure
a pleasure.
Awesome.
Make sure you check out his DeviantArt page.
Thanks
I will
for-
be putting
yeah.
that link down there. So from all of us here at Panel to Panel, we thank you all. Remember to help out our friends in Brazil who are 2 years behind in comics. Hashtag Comic Pen Pals.
Yes.
Help our buddy Pedro get his comic books down there. They're 2 years behind, people. Help Pedro get his books. And as always, we are going
Week 6 of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Beard Challenge.
Week 6 in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Beard Challenge. Chief growing his beard out until Amazing Spider-Man 2 comes out.
Get in there.
Okay, cool.
You got over a year to go. It's going to be long.
Maybe I should start. I got a ways to go. I can start that too.
Well, next time you come on, we want to see some beard out of you.
And remember,
We'll see.
December 27th through the 28th, Rockford, Illinois, Anime Apocalypse, panel to panel. We are going to be there shooting a live episode. Uni is going to be, if she's not able to be there, she's going to be there on a big screen. Gigantic-headed Uni is going to be there.
In costume.
Uni will be in costume, so come out August 27th through the 29th, Clock Tower Resort, Rockford, Illinois. Come be a part of a live show. You don't know who's going to show up during this live show. So from all of us, let's see what video we've got at the end of this episode.
It's a supersonic